I hear sirens.
That's not for me. Well, speaking of sirens, though, I saw the worst doctor this week. All he did was suck blood on my neck. That's the last time I'm going to see that Dr. Acula, whatever it is.
Nancy's looking. Oh, God. You got her for a minute, and then she's going, oh, God.
Hi, this is Dave, a.k.a. the Great White North, and I took a left at the Valley.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. You know, we don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with the religious people taking over the world, I mean, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from some secret studio, this is Left of the Valley. My name is Kevin, and I summarize that if heat rises, then heaven must be hotter than hell. Joining me as usual is a team that will tell you that experience is something you don't get until just after you need it. She noticed that 99% of all lawyers give the rest of them a bad name, Nancy.
That's right, and I have two brothers that are lawyers, so I know from experience from which I speak.
She's back, and she got a new camera so advanced that you don't even need it, Teresa.
Wow,
And he calculated that the severity of an itch is proportional to the reach, Scott.
Hallelujah.
Guys, welcome back. I hope you had a good week.
It was an interesting week.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of things happened.
A lot of things that happened. And, of course, we have to make note of something that it was somebody's birthday.
I know.
Our little cricket here had a birthday. Happy birthday, Teresa.
Oh, thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Yeah. What's it like being 23?
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Isn't it?
So you actually went to the Giggle Dams yesterday, which I highly recommend. I went there with you, and I was actually molested by Princess Leia. There's video evidence on Facebook. And you were even to a point brought on stage and saved by some second-rate superheroes.
Oh, yes.
So if you guys have never been to Giggle Dam in Port Coquitlam, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a blast.
Good. It's always good to end a birthday week, with a big celebration. So, yeah, great. Looking forward to your 24th birthday next year. We can celebrate all over again.
I thought that was her 19th. We're going to have to get her ID'd.
I know. I go through that all the time. It's so embarrassing, but secretly you go, yeah.
All right, let's get into a bit of chit-chat. We got a lot of stories going on. The U.S. trade dispute. Apparently, Canada, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, even last week, I think, we talked about Trump wanted to slap a 20% duty on softwood lumber for Canadian. Well, Canada decided not to take that back and just sit back and relax and do nothing. No, they decided to retaliate. Now they're considering retaliatory duties and ban on coal export throughout BC. So apparently Canada, for once, is now just saying, yes, sir, we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I agree with it.
It's a shame that one psychopathic leader of a major country can cause that kind of disruption, with the two closest neighbors he's got.
Well, I think Trump is so used to having the kind of meeting with business leaders. I don't even think he has any idea of the history of these trade disputes. And he just hears from somebody saying, "Oh, you know what? Those Canadians are unfair." So, you know what? You're right. I have no idea, but I'm just going to go and say it because some business guy told him that on the meeting.
That's right, and he doesn't expend the effort to learn. It's if he sees it on TV or someone tells him, then that's a fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's too lazy, or he has a learning disability, or he has something that prevents him from actually going and finding out the facts himself. Someone said he was going to a foreign country this week, and yeah, the library.
Well, it's kind of funny. Speaking of Trump, he also ordered, and this is official, that all government offices in the United States are to switch their TVs to Fox News.
Yeah.
Official.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
No,
Officially.
CBS News had that on. So if that was, I'm hoping that wasn't fake because
No,
it
it's
seems
not
to be
fake.
spreading on social media like
It's not
crazy.
fake.
No.
From now on, in
Yeah.
government offices, they used to have CNN apparently on in government offices.
Well, okay, and that's not much better, but
Maybe not, but now it's official. Fox News is the official station of the Trump administration.
wow.
The molester station. Hooray!
Oh, Nancy's on fire today in the molester station.
You're on fire today.
She totally is. Okay, well, let's switch to something a bit more fun. Hubble, the space telescope. Apparently, they have a new lens on it. And Hubble has the images they've captured hundreds of galaxies 6 billion light years away. Now they have a new lens called a gravitational lens, and has helped magnify previously photographed regions of the cosmos. And like I said, they found over hundreds of galaxies 6 billion light years away. Fascinating.
It is.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very long time ago.
A very long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. But in the meantime, we're all here on a speck of dust, and Jesus tells you not to masturbate.
Jesus can go to hell.
Yeah.
Did I say that with my outside voice?
You did. How many times I've told you, Scott? Inside voice. There's the second round of French elections is happening, and they have in France they have a different system for the elections. They go by rounds, and the second round is going to pit Emmanuel Macron versus Marine Le Pen, and he's a centrist. Macron's a centrist, and Le Pen is far right. And so far, right now, the polls are showing that Macron is at least 24 points ahead. I believe this election is happening tomorrow, Sunday.
This sounds almost like tournament play. Do they
The joust? That would be entertaining. I'd love to see that. Sorry, a politician joust? That'd be
Well,
awesome.
he was ahead until WikiLeaks. They have a blackout from midnight Saturday until there's a 24, 48 hour period where news media, by law, are prevented from broadcasting anything about the election. There can be no campaigning, nor can there be any discussion whatsoever on any media about the election. So an hour before midnight, or a little bit before WikiLeaks put on social media the hacked email of Macron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a huge dump. And they put the hacks from his email and put some fake news in there, and they timed it so that this fake news dump with the emails would hit just before midnight so that neither candidate would have a chance to discuss it. So like 4 or 5 minutes, I may have my time a little bit off. So Macron immediately before midnight had enough time to issue a statement saying, this is what happened, it's fake news, and so we need to go on, but please ignore this in terms of the election.
I'm kind of surprised here. I saw something in passing about when you talk about the hack there to Macron's email, but I'm surprised you're saying here that WikiLeaks put in fake news. That's not them.
No, they didn't put whoever hacked put the news, put news and fake news, and then gave it to WikiLeaks. I'm almost sure it went through WikiLeaks. If it went independently,
because
I'm
WikiLeaks
sorry.
just has a chance to just reveal what they received.
Yeah,
That's all they do.
I may be off there, but they did release the hacks, and it was in almost identical form as what had happened to Hillary before. So there's no doubt in anybody's mind that it's the Russians, and I think the hacker that was responsible for it had the name Fancy Bear, and so they feel this is the same hacker.
I don't
That's kind of
understand.
scary.
I don't.
It is.
Well, you're saying the Russians here, but I don't understand why the Russians would put their nose into France's elections.
Because they want Le Pen they want the far right candidate to win.
I don't know. I will certainly something.
That's
will
what
happen.
You're into world politics there, and it's a really scary
It's
thing.
very scary.
If you look, the Russians have been stepping up their patrols. They've been ramping up their military budget, and yeah, no one really is sure what's going on. So
Yeah, but also, I'm not here to defend Russia, obviously, but you gotta remember that Russia is not the Soviet Union either, right? It's not.
No.
They don't have the same military might that they once had. They don't have the same kind of budget either. So I really am leery of people saying, Russia portraying them right away like the Cold War used to, right?
They do have that kind of influence, though.
Well,
and that's
Putin has an agenda, and
He's
it's
got an
part of the
agenda.
agenda seems to be disrupting
Yep.
any election where you have a moderate to liberal in the race. They want to completely destroy that.
I don't know.
that
I'm a
individual.
tad skeptical of all this. No, I'm not saying that it's not impossible.
Good skepticism.
I'm just a bit skeptical of it. I just don't quite see it happening. Who knows? Time will tell. But of course, people are watching this election in France because of Brexit and because of what happened here in the U.S. With Trump, right?
well, having European Union fall apart is another. That would be a huge political
gain
for any country that's not. I mean,
That's not in the EU.
Well, you see the European Union as a foe.
Doesn't Le Pen have? Doesn't she have some loans? Didn't she? She was doing something with Putin.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a little coziness going on there. I don't know whether
there
it's
seems,
financial.
it's kind of funny that, when you go back to Trump in the United States, and there was some coziness there that nobody's been able to prove, but I mean, it's all there in the wings. And there was talk of them interfering with the American election. And it's almost like if you can take this away and say, okay, let's just bleed away from that. Either somebody's playing a really neat trick and putting all this fake news out there, or there is actually something going on and there's manipulation happening to different countries.
No, I don't doubt there is manipulation happening. I'm just not exactly sure as to the point and to the conspiracy that we're almost seemingly fabricating here. And like I said,
Sure, it is.
Exactly.
Time will tell.
Oh, exactly.
But
Time
we
will
never
tell.
landed on the moon, so.
And of course, Le Pen is also known that her father used to run in politics as well. He ran opposite Jacques Chirac a long time ago, and he was,
I remember Jacques.
he was killed actually in the polls and in the vote. He totally didn't make it.
I think he got 15% of the vote, and now the daughter, Melody, got 40%.
Yeah,
so
I read 38,
that
but
right,
that's okay.
that hard right is moving up a little bit, which is scary. But her father was really, he was just a horrible
Oh yeah, and she doesn't seem much better.
disaster of a man.
Okay, in better news, I guess, Scientology. Our old friends of Scientologists. There's a facility in Tennessee that has been closed down after police finds patients held against their will.
No, it didn't happen.
Apparently, one victim was there for rehab and to get clean through Scientology. He'd been there for 9 months, held against his will. I think these kind of things. I mean, the Leah Remini program on I think it's on A&E about Scientology. And the other one that came out was it last year? I think we're seeing the death of Scientology here. We're seeing it unravel. I think it's falling apart.
What do they? I forget under what circumstances. It's so that they can get clear or get manipulated until they're brainwashed enough to be back in the mainstream of Scientology.
Scientology essentially says, much like much religion is, the premise is you're sick, and we have the cure, right? So what they do is they say you have like thetans or something like that inside of you, and we can release them from your body, and the less of them you have, well, the more powerful you become as a person. And then they'll use example like Tom Cruise that has got probably very little thetans or whatever in his body, and that's why he's so famous and et cetera, right?
Fruitcake.
Totally.
No, you just wonder what kind of a life did this person have where he was there for 9 months. Did nobody notice that he didn't show up for work or wasn't there for
he
family
probably works-
reunions? Or
His family's all in Scientology.
Yes,
He works for a company that's probably Scientology controlled. So his job's being held for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really horrible to think that someone can be held against their will for 9 months and not be able to communicate or have anybody communicate where they can do something for this guy.
I always thought there might have to be a lot of psychological abuse too, because physically it would be difficult to restrain a person unless you literally put them in jail in a jail. It'd be difficult to, I don't know, you put me in a camp, I'll bust through that fence eventually, right? So unless you really, really scare me psychologically, I don't see how you would stop a person. So there is that kind of abuse. So anyway, moving on. So we're doing a Quack Watch today?
Why don't we?
Well, let's do that.
Alrighty.
Quack Watch.
Okay, this is... We're going to think about this as a Quack Watch, but it's a more interesting situation. So this is sort of Quack Watch with a very open mind. we can do it. It's just interesting. Have any of you heard of integrated medicine? This is a new term for me, and it's one that's becoming more popular, and many of us in North America really haven't heard of the integrative medicine, but we remember the old term, which was holistic medicine. Yeah, okay, and this is a movement that sort of stems from the holistic movement, and it's left its imprint. Holistic medicine left its imprint on a lot of hospitals, universities, medical schools, and clinics. So what integrated medicine is where doctors and patients bond with the philosophy and its whole person approach, similar to holistic medicine, and it's designed to treat the person, not just the disease, which sounds wonderful on the surface. So integrated medicine, or functional medicine as it's sometimes called, depends on the partnership between the patient and the doctor, where the goal is to treat mind, body, and spirit all at the same time. And theoretically, and sometimes in practice, that can really be a good thing, because when you go to the doctor and you've got 10 minutes and he says, take this pill, this is not medicine. This is trying to get you through the system as fast as you can. And very often people stay on medications longer than they should, or it doesn't work. And then when they want to find someone to talk to, their doctor is busy. So many times people turn to alternative medicine because they don't get what they need from the traditional doctor. And this is a way on the part of some medical doctors to say, we will not only treat you the best way we can with scientific medicine, but we will also provide the alternate forms of therapies that will help enhance you in terms of wellness. So this is what they've done. The doctors have started practices where some of these sometimes unconventional therapies are a guiding principle within the traditional medical model. So what they do is they offer this operating system and clinical model for assessment, treatment, and prevention of chronic disease to replace outdated and ineffective acute care models. And so this is something that comes, forward from the old 20th century, 19th century model of medicine. So it incorporates, supposedly, the latest in genetic science, systems biology, understanding how environmental and lifestyle factors influence emergence and progression of diseases, and it enables physicians and other health professionals to practice proactive, predictive, and personalized medicine, and empowers patients to take an active role in their health. This sounds ideal.
Yeah, but you forgot to mention the word quantum. There has to be the word quantum in there at some point. That's how you sell it, right?
Yeah.
If you say quantum something, people start buying it.
Yeah, and this hasn't gotten that far yet. But
they haven't integrated quantum into it.
They haven't integrated. Yeah, that's one thing that haven't integrated. So one of the models, their Cleveland Clinic in the United States. There are some integrated clinics in Canada, in Toronto, and in Vancouver. There's also there's one in Baltimore. So they're springing up, and they're becoming a lot more popular. So Duke Center in North Carolina is a classic model, and this is how it works. They combine conventional Western medicine with alternative or complementary treatments such as herbal medicine, acupuncture, massage, biofeedback, yoga, and stress reduction techniques, all in an effort to treat the whole person. And proponents of it prefer the term complementary to emphasize that such treatments are used with mainstream medicine, not just as replacement or alternatives. Again, when handled right, integrative medicine gets a great boost of public awareness and funding because at this point, now 1 in 3 Americans had used alternative therapy, often under the medical radar. So the complementary medicine is popular, and then going to your regular doctor is sort of the way to go to treat whatever diseases that people have. So in the past decade, these integrative medical centers have opened up across the country, and according to American Hospital Association in the U.S., the percentage of U.S. hospitals that offer complementary therapies has more than doubled in a decade. So we may not have heard of it until, just recently, but this has been going on and increasing over the past 10 years. So it went from 8.6% in 1998 to almost 20% in 2004 and climbing. So this is the mind-body connection. And then in addition, there are hospitals that are integrating this and also medical schools that are including it. So the proponents of it are really positive.
I'm surprised to hear you say that hospitals are taking this in.
Hospitals are including some of these therapies as part, like massage therapy. If you're in the hospital, you can have massage therapy. So they're not bringing in, and biofeedback, to help people with pain reduction. So, and these are all part of this complementary, and it's moving.
This is probably where the people find it difficult because of course massages are good for you, and it's been proven. So it's integrated in. But if in the same circle you have these other quack medicines, and all of a sudden it's hard for the average Joe to say, well, why is a massage in this category a good thing, but this other therapy is not?
Well, that's where you get a lot of the controversy on the part of the skeptics, because you have the scientifically based medicines where you can have peer reviews and they can be studied, and you have the complementary, which are taken on, because you hear that someone else has had this kind of therapy and it's helpful, and it's anecdotal rather than being put through the double-blind studies.
Yeah, the anecdotes remains one of the most powerful tools for convincing people.
Yeah, and so, but the people who believe this say that it's no longer fringe. Medical students now are being taught to think in an integrated way about the patient, and ultimately, to accept some of these that do no harm and seem that the patients accept and feel better. They're embracing it much more.
The placebo
more than
effect.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. How do we know it's not the placebo effect?
Well, it is.
Well, that's part of what we're going to get to, and that's why this is a complicated. It's not very straightforward in terms of quack. It could be the placebo effect, and yet in many instances, for instance, with acupuncture, people have shown, through the years that they have gotten, a relief from that, and when doing some other form of therapy, it's not as effective. So you get into a very murky field of how do I know whether or not to just stay with my traditional doctor, or should I embrace some of these alternate therapies that may do some good? And doctors who used to say, no, don't pay any attention, just, these are not proven, are now opening their minds and saying, well, maybe they have some merit.
By the way, free tip for everybody out there: when you do you want to use acupuncture, actually go to a Chinese person, because if you just go into Bob's acupuncture, he's just putting finishing nails in you.
So there's the pro about integrated medicine, and here, getting into what you were talking about a minute ago, Kevin. Here's some of the cons that are presented by proponents at science-based medicine, such as Quack Watch and Skeptic Diary and so forth and so on.
Lay it on us.
Yeah, they say that integrative medicine is integrated quackery with medicine. And that in essence, the time and again, to put that kind of quackery on equal footing, or at least apparently equal footing, with science and evidence-based medicine, that is, even though that it's a goal close to be achieved, that the word complement still is not real medicine, and just as it may be icing on the cake, but that doesn't mean that you're really having the best of both worlds. It's still a quack, a form of medicine disguised as a bonus specialty. So what they also say in the science-based medicine website is that it's easy to identify a lot of this quackery that practitioners and woo-friendly physicians have integrated into medicine, and they say that a lot of it is based on pre-scientific ideas of how the body and how the human body and disease work. For instance, traditional Chinese medicine, especially acupuncture, as we were talking about before, is based on a belief system that resembles the four humors in ancient Western or European medicine, or on non-existent body structures or functions that are used to like energy flow and things like that. So the problem, they say, with functional medicine or integrated medicine is that at its core, it's as close to being nonsensical as the more obvious forms of quackery. It just hides better, given the number of fancy-sounding medical specialty names that it gives, and that it's not special or superior to plain old science-based medicine. For those who want to study alternatives to scientific medicine, the University of Arizona seems like a hot spot. It not only supports the work of a lot of the centers, but there's one of the guys there, Andrew Weil, who is a pseudoscientific, heads its integrative medicine program there. So that's another place to go to study maybe the worst parts of what is called integrative medicine. So the skeptics say, why would a major university risk its reputation by supporting such programs? Because these programs
are University of Phoenix?
Yeah, University of Arizona. No, University of Arizona.
But still hardly a major university.
They said because these programs are popular with the masses, the media, medical schools, and physicians and politicians. First, and there's significant grant money available now through such programs, and insurance is now paying for it in many instances. So a lot of agencies like the National Institutes of Health and other universities like the fact that they can now get money for a lot of these alternative medical practitioner practices. So at the end result, the skeptics say that someday we may look back at this period of history and see the alternative science movement as a well-engineered social movement that created a very popular mass delusion on par with the tulip mania of the 17th century in Holland. And the tulip mania meant that it was used to refer to any large economic bubble when asset prices deviate. So the tulip bubble was people began to think that the tulips were so special that they'd pay anything from them, and they finally reached
created a demand for it.
Yeah, created a demand, and then when the bubble burst, everybody was left. So they look at this whole movement. So what I get out of all of this is that if there is a genuine regard for treating the whole person, and the medical specialties and the alternative methods use ethical practices for the wellness and promotion of good health for the patient, then I think there's a value to them. The problem is that when you get quacks who are after your money and have no degrees and for instance, chiropractors don't stick to their manipulation, but they stick to orthomolecular medicine where they want you to spend a ton of money on vitamins and supplements. Now we're getting into the quackery. So I think if you are a proponent of integrated medicine, be very careful the clinics and the people who are involved, if that's something that you feel will enhance your overall sense of well-being and health.
But it still only revolves on the anecdote, right? The anecdote saying, oh yeah, this works because I've got such and such guy tried it and it worked for him. Right?
And some of it's on a data that is unclear as to whether it really. So they're not put through the scientific double-blind peer reviews.
Exactly.
But if it's something that does no harm and adds to your well-being when you're going through a devastating illness like cancer or multiple sclerosis, and this is a way for you to feel relief while you're going through, all of the medical testing and therapies, then I see that there's a value there.
Maybe it wouldn't be such an issue if there was no dollar amount attached to it, right? If we lived in a society that had no need of money at all, maybe this would less be of an issue. But when you're actually, as a patient, that's forking out big sums of money for something that even if it makes them feel a bit better, that money could have been better spent maybe somewhere else to actually heal that person.
But the counter to that is that doctors prescribe medications where you spend a lot of money on medications, for stress relief, or you can't sleep, chronic insomnia, where maybe a massage and meditation may help you fall asleep for a lot less money. So you can look at it. You can look at it and justify each side. That's why it's not clear cut.
No,
so
exactly.
it's you. Then you get into a buyer beware situation. Exactly.
So Teresa, what do you think about quantum acupuncture?
That's it.
Thank you for the comment.
Well done, Teresa. Well done.
Stop your yoga for a minute, Teresa, and answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for that. That was
took a little longer, but I think it's really interesting because there's just, it's getting to the point that it's in the mainstream.
Yeah, it's important to talk about these kind of things.
Yeah.
Before we go to commercial, and we talk to our guest today, which will be Dr. Randy Tyson, our friend Randy Tyson from Calgary. Let's do
things that make you go
Things that make you go Well, did you guys hear that a woman sued Johnson & Johnson and she blames her ovarian cancer on the Johnson & Johnson baby powder?
Yes.
Yes, and
she won $110.5 million.
Holy cow!
That's $1 million.
But people have gotten ovarian cancer from talcum powder.
Well, this is the funny thing. She says she's been using talcum powder for 40 years, and she's 62-year-old Lois Slemp. And apparently three previous juries awarded a total of $197 million to similar claims. But the funny thing is, no research has found a link between talcum and cancer.
I think, isn't there some research now that shows that is?
Some of the lawyers apparently have cited some other research that was that connects talcum to cancer, but in the 70s. So, and of course, talc is a mineral, and it's the softest of mineral, and it's crushed, and essentially makes a powder, and that's basically is baby powder.
Well, I think it's where on your body you're using the talcum powder, and if it's used down there, as to be polite, that's where
she get the talc on her ovaries.
You may be vulnerable to, but who knows?
Scott, I'm not going to start explaining female anatomy to you.
Female anatomy, right?
You're a grown man.
I don't know, but talc is usually an externally applied substance. How the heck did?
We'll have a chai tea, and I'll explain it.
So I thought it was a very interesting thing. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see what happens.
$110 million. That's just amazing.
Yes, that's $110 million. Of course, Johnson & Johnson replied right away by essentially contesting it.
An appeal.
Also, we're going to see what's going to happen. Next story. Do you guys hear this week about Trump Care? Yeah, so Trumpcare is the new GOP healthcare reform bill that the Trump administration is trying to use to replace Obamacare. Apparently, it will.
It's the transfer of wealth, Trump care, non-existent medical treatment for people who need it care.
Oh yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Does this mean that now you go to Trump Towers, take a room, and they treat you there with alternative medicine?
No, they'll take every penny you got and transfer it to some rich guys and leave you stranded and kicked to the side of the road.
Well,
That's what they do now.
This week, the bill actually passed the House. So Trump Care narrowly passed. It's also known as the American Health Care Act by a vote of 217 to 213. No Democrats backed the bill, and 20 Republicans broke ranks to oppose it. The thing with the Republican health care bill, the new Trump Care bill, is it signals a dramatic and significant shift from Obamacare, where pre-existing conditions were guaranteed to receive coverage, including rape, sexual assault, and domestic violence. In other words, under Trump Care, being raped becomes a pre-existing condition.
Inconceivable!
And they can deny you medical coverage for that.
What?
Right, the next
Absolutely.
is breathing. Breathing is a pre-existing
Cell division is a
condition.
pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
So ABC confirms the states will be allowed, because now it puts the onus on the states. The states will be allowed to give insurance companies permission to punish patients with pre-existing conditions with exorbitant rates. In other words, in the states, for our Canadian listeners that might not know, the insurance, you have to apply to an insurance company. If the insurance company says, "Well, no, we're not going to treat this condition you have because
We're not going to pay for it.
we're not going to pay for it because you have a history of diabetics or something like that." But now, if you have a history of, you're sexually assaulted, domestic violence, or even rape, now they can say, "Well, too bad, so sad. We're not paying for this." So it's a big blow job to the
Sure,
insurance
which
companies.
which they did before Obamacare.
So
The good news is that the bill is garbage.
Oh, it totally is.
It's
It's
garbage,
absolute garbage.
and it was only to get one for the Gipper, to get some success legislatively, since there had been nothing under Trump Care, and for everybody to say, yeah, we really are good Republicans, which is good because now we can identify everybody and they can be voted out, which is wonderful. But it goes to the Senate. And the Senate, there's no way the Senate is going to accept any part of this. They're either going to reject it or tear it apart.
This is where
and start from scratch.
my main man Bernie Sanders came out and he says, "No way." He says, "That is not passing the Senate." He said, "Good luck. It's not going to happen."
Well, can you imagine an emergency responder, either an ambulance, a firefighter, a policeman, or a soldier, comes in with PTSD and they turn around and deny it and say,
"That's right.
That's a pre-existing condition."
Absolutely.
PTSD is actually one of them.
Yeah.
The list of pre-existing conditions could also be extended to a variety of preventative healthcare services as well, including mammograms.
Holy shit balls.
So gynecological,
Oh, man.
That's right.
gynecological exams also fall under the pre-existing condition category. An exam that sexual assault survivors have to rely on following an attack, right? They needed to be examined to make sure, there's whatever. And women in general use gynecological exam. It's a regular part of a woman's, going to a doctor. It happens on a regular basis, right?
Well, for good reason.
So, conclusion to that, in Trump's America, rape is a pre-existing condition. That's exactly what they're saying here. And too bad, so sad.
And they want those people to go into a separate pool and pay premiums of like $14,000 to $26,000 a year, which means people aren't going to be able to afford that. And what the bill actually did, it was disguised as a tax break for people at the top, so that it would allow the next phase of the tax bill to be that it set the stages for
absolutely,
which is not going to be tax reform. It's going to be tax cuts for the rich because they really need some more tax breaks.
And on top of that, of course, now that they're replacing the Obamacare with this, 24 million Americans stand to lose their insurance, their life,
Well,
It's
24 million will lose it, but what about the other 100+ million who have insurance who all of a sudden are going to have conditions they can't treat anymore?
It's not going to happen. I mean,
Well, no, it's not gonna pass. Well, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, the American Affordable Care Act is going to be changed. I'm sure there's going to be some tweaking, but it'll remain intact, and it'll be improved at the end. I really feel that because the resistance that's made up of Indivisible and a lot of the other, and the Bernie groups, they're going to resist this and put pressure on the Republicans. I don't think all of them are going to lose their seat. That's too optimistic.
I
but
sure hope so.
A bunch of them, as soon as the Trump supporters wake up and find out what's happened,
and of course, after all this, apparently there was the GOP kind of threw a huge party because they had beat the Obamacare, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what these people are thinking.
You know, when the United States finally implodes, I wonder what the property values will be down there. We might stand a good chance of going and buying some premier property.
Yeah.
Oh
well.
Insane. All right. Thanks a lot for that, guys. So we're going to take a break right now, and after that, we're going to come right back with Dr. Randy Tyson from the Legion of Reason. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm the Supreme Irreverend Dr. Randy Tyson from the Legion of Reason Diversion. Join me and my co-hosts, Christine Shelska, Twyla, and Nate Phelps, as we explore issues at the intersection of atheism, humanism, and skepticism. Topics range from alternative medicine to the interference of religion in public policy. We often have special guests to help us understand the topic du jour. Previous guests include biologist Jerry Coyne, ex-Muslim author Ali Rizvi, philosopher Peter Boghossian, and the late physicist Victor Stanger. You can watch us on the Legion of Reason YouTube channel or subscribe to the audio version through your favorite podcatchers such as iTunes or Stitcher. And don't forget to like the Legion of Reason Facebook page.
If your skepticism is socially conscious and doesn't take itself too seriously, you might like Life, the Universe, and Everything Else.
Great comfort, his big stumper was literally, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
A lot of the interviews took place in front of a building that said liberal arts. I'm guessing that they're not all science majors.
Life, the Universe, and Everything Else. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere else. I don't know, Zoom? Is that still a thing?
I've come a long, long way, made a lot of mistakes, but I'm breathing, that's right, and I made it, this time I'm a little run down, I've been living out loud, I can beat it, that's right, 'cause I'm feeling invincible.
It was this point of mystery, and in gets invoked God. This, over time, has been described by philosophers as the God of the gaps. If that's where you're going to put your God in this world, then God is an ever-receding pocket of scientific ignorance.
And we're back. Oh, great. So on the line, we have via Skype our old friends from the Legion of Reason. We saw them last time when we had that Halloween show.
Yeah.
So
I know, it's always fun.
Please welcome back with us Christine and Dr. Randy Tyson. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us back.
Hi, gang.
Yeah, glad you had the time to spend with us. It's always fun when you're here.
Thank you.
That's good. It's good to know.
Guys, I know you guys have been on the show before, and some of our older listeners will remember you for sure, but we always have new listeners. So if you'd be so kind to give us the Reader Digest version of who you are and what is the Legion of Reason Diversion.
Well, the Legion of Reason Diversion is a podcast dealing with, we hope, skepticism as applied to life in general, anywhere from our main, our whole raison d'etre was religion originally, but we've expanded into the region of regressive leftism and social justice and some of the problems therein. And as for myself or me, I just did it. My wife's going to get me. I used the word myself wrong. It's a pet peeve. She gets me every time I do this.
Is that why you shipped her to Ghana?
Edit that. Edit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife is in Ghana, so she won't be listening to this. As for me, I have a PhD in chemistry and biochemistry, and I work doing something I can't really talk about, actually. So,
okay.
NDA. I'm under NDA. So
okay.
I don't know how much I can talk about it. But it's in the healthcare field and developing a medical device for treating cancer. And that's it for me. Christine, you.
Yeah, I am working on my PhD in communications. And obviously, I'm a co-host on the Legion of Reason, past president of Atheist Alliance International, and on the board of directors for AHA. And
so it is past. Yeah. I mean, I can't keep a. You need a scorecard with Atheist Alliance International.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes you're president, sometimes you're not.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us on the show. So we're going to do, you know what, I'm thinking there's a couple of stories I've been wanting to get into for a while there, and we haven't actually got a chance to get to. So we are going to do what our little segment that we always like call Another Brilliant Moment, brought to you by Religion. I want your opinion on this, everybody. This is an older story that happened in March. There's Ohio parents are suing their court-appointed caregivers who forcibly baptized their son. Now, having a mentor from Big Brothers and Sisters is supposed to be an educational, uplifting experience. Well, Ohio native April DeFribo certainly thought it would help her 11-year-old son, and everything was fine until her son's mentor took him to get baptized without him warning anybody. The pastor held him underwater, to the boy's surprise, leading him to have recurring nightmares. Quote, they held my son underwater. It wasn't like he was sprinkled water on his head. It was like full immersion. He kicked, he screamed, and told him beforehand that he was afraid. And every day since, he's had nightmares.
Oh my gosh. Is that child? Would that
sounds like a scene out of Scarface.
Could they have been charged with child abuse?
I kind of wonder, that child obviously didn't feel the love of God there.
It's for God. It's not child abuse.
So now she wants to solve.
Yeah, no, God's never abused anybody. No.
He's got a long history of being very kind and truthful and friendly.
It's not like he's ever drowned anybody or anything.
No. Point for Randy. So now she wants assault and child endangering charges filed against the Morning Star Friends Church of Chardon, the pastor, the Big Brother and Big Brothers and Big Sisters organization itself. Well, good luck to her. I wish she does.
Yeah, I hope she does. I can see where Big Brothers, Big Sisters might be liable for not properly vetting people who are.
I'm not sure it's a question of vetting, though. I mean, the vetting would have been, it's a pastor. It's the baptism, the way he baptized this person.
It's taking the child without the parents' permission to the church, and obviously, well, not say obviously, but a good attorney is going to bring in Big Brothers and Sisters for either they're knowing about this and not doing anything about it, or being totally ignorant where they should have had knowledge either way.
I was just going to make the point that, is this a case where Big Brother was not watching?
Yeah.
10-point bonus for that one.
Good. I got another story. In 2009, there was a Kent He's a 2-year-old son of Herbert and Catherine Schabel. He contracted bacterial pneumonia. He could have been saved by doctors, but his parents didn't give him a chance. They decided to pray for him instead, right? So, of course, a few doses of Tylenol could have saved the kid, but no, he died. After he died, they were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. They could have served up 17 years in prison, but that's not what happened. They gave them a 10 years probation instead, in terms of which include a requirement that the Schabels schedule regular appointments with a qualified medical person for all their children and release their children's medical records. And now the Schabels have killed another one of their kids in the same manner.
Oh, no.
Brandon, he was only 8 months old, spent the last week of his life breathing with difficulty and suffering from diarrhea. His parents watch him deal with this, and he has failed to take to heart the lesson they've learned years ago. Take the child to a goddamn doctor. So then the charge could be filed once more. Authorities pinpoint the boy had died. Charge could be filed once authorities pinpoint how the boy died. An official cause of death is pending an autopsy, according to police. So the judge that came in this time and says, I am sorry for your loss, deeply sorry. Judge Benjamin Lerner told the couple, but in all honesty, I am more sorry for the fact that this innocent little child will not be able to grow up to be something he wanted to be. You're a danger to the community, Lerner said. This is the judge. You're a danger to your children. Thoughts? Should we toss the book at these people?
Oh, man. Well, what book are you going to throw at them? The Bible, or the
beat them over the head with it?
Yeah, or the legal book. It's obvious. Well, I don't know. They've fallen through the cracks. They were supposed to adhere to being monitored.
Yeah.
But obviously, when they had this child, someone dropped the ball because they should have been monitored. I don't know what the terms were, but obviously the terms were not strict enough to be able to prevent these people from doing what they wanted to do, regardless of the sentence.
And of course,
the probation terms of probation.
This couple has 7 other kids right now. They're in foster care because of this. So this
it just makes you sick.
Yeah, especially for something as stupid as come on, you just take him to a doctor, give him a couple of Tylenols, and that'll save the kid, right? But no.
Yeah, but no, God will do what's best, and so that's
the power of God.
The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
Randy, any thoughts on the power of God so far? Oh,
we've seen a case where that would come to light. I mean, it's amazing. People are
sorry, Randy.
In natural disasters. I was saved by God, but then don't notice that their neighbors were smited. It just people don't think that through. Like they don't understand the implications of what they're saying.
No, I totally agree.
It amazes me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The whole excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, anybody that can watch a baby suffer and say it's for the best because it's God's will, they need to be locked up.
I totally agree.
And sterilized.
Yeah.
She looked at me when she said that too.
Yeah.
Why didn't the judge say, okay, you're no longer the caretaker of your kids, period?
Yeah, well, basically,
they're now words of the state.
Yeah, they did. The 7 other kids right now in foster care. But the parents are still free.
On foster, good. That's correct. We've had a couple of cases here in Alberta.
Oh, is that so?
That have very recent. The Stephans in Lethbridge.
Right. Was that the maple syrup
very similar. They received jail time. Their child had meningitis and didn't take the kid to see a doctor. Took the kid to see a naturopath.
No.
Yes.
Or got advice from a naturopath, and then finally at the very when it was too late, they did go and take the child to Emerge. They received jail time, but they're currently appealing the sentence, and we'll see what comes of that.
Was anything ever done to the naturopath?
No, they of course the College of Naturopaths. I mean, the idea that there is such a thing is ridiculous, but that beside the point. They felt that there was no wrongdoing by the naturopath. So.
Really? Wow, because I, as a layman, if I'm doing first aid and I do something completely out to lunch and give, bad advice that results in a death, couldn't I be charged for something as being an idiot? Naturopaths should have a little bit more sense than that.
If have that, the prisons would be full.
Thank you, Randy. I was heading there, but you said it a lot better.
I mean, yeah, it just amazes me because that naturopath.
We already have an over populated prison system. Well, of course, the United States. We're tiny in comparison to that. But you do this in the States, and even if you're doing the right thing and the person doesn't have a good outcome, you can be held liable.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it depends. If you're following the prescribed procedures, like a first aider follows prescribed procedures. Even if you're following the prescribed,
you're better off, honestly, in the United States, you're better off just leaving the person on the side of the road, legally speaking.
Really?
Wow. That's amazing.
Well, I think in some places they have a Good Samaritan law where if you do your best to try and help, even though you're a layman, regardless of the results, you're not held liable because your intentions were good. In some places they do have Good Samaritan laws, but I don't know, where or whether they're...
No, we don't know exactly.
Yeah, but that's
the thing.
Sorry,
go ahead. Guidebook flip through while the guy's dying.
No, and let's face it. Okay, if I was treating someone as a first aider, my only recourse is to say we need to get them to medical aid. And that would be where the discretion comes in. What have you done as a first aider in order to get him to medical aid, right? That would be, and there's where the Good Samaritan law applies. But as somebody who's a natural, supposedly gone to a college and they're a naturopath, wouldn't there be some kind of, I mean, at some point, wouldn't they have to say, hey, you need to see a doctor?
There's a problem with naturopaths are not supposed to give medical advice, right? They're not actual doctors. Well, they're not doctors.
Exactly. So wouldn't at some point you say, hey, go to a doctor?
I think she did tell them to take the kid to emergency.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. That's why she was not at fault.
They went to buy some naturopathic thing for their child, and it's such a gray area. I mean, we're starting to allow this into the mainstream, and when it shouldn't exist at all.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
And so it becomes a gray area of the law.
Absolutely. Perfect.
At least in Ontario, chiropractors aren't allowed to call themselves doctor. That should be everywhere. These people are not doctors.
Yep.
Really? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, no, they cannot advertise themselves as doctors.
Really? That's
good.
That is interesting. I mean,
that's good to know.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, oddly, I would have thought that would have been Quebec, because Quebec seems to be a little more progressive in terms of their social responsibility. But they also, chiropractors are not allowed to promote anti-vaccination nonsense as well.
Oh, that's good.
In Ontario. So, yeah, that's good. But how do you monitor that, right?
Yeah, that's true, right?
It's all complaint driven.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for that.
We're going to need a medical malpractice lawyer as part of our team.
Part of our team, yeah.
We get into more of these discussions.
Anybody want to join the Left of the Valley crew? It's a great podcast. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the... Sorry, Randy?
Having a lawyer on staff would be great.
What's that?
Having a lawyer on staff would be really good, too. I've often thought, gee, I wish I knew some constitutional lawyers.
That would be nice. That would be nice indeed. So today we're going to be talking about the regressive left, which is one of the pet peeves of our friend Randy Tyson. Randy, I'm told you really, really like those regressive left people, don't you? Apparently it's something you never talk about on your podcast. So go ahead and explain to us and explain to the audience, what do you mean by regressive left?
Oh, Christine, you can handle this one. This one's a good one.
Sure. Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah. So this was a phrase coined by Majid Nawaz, and what he was referring to is kind of that element of the left that essentially throws people like him under the bus. He's a Muslim. He's got the Quillam Foundation that he is like an anti-terrorist organization, and he did a collaboration with Sam Harris, and he got called all kinds of names by both, extremists on the Islamic spectrum and people on the left as well, calling him things like a porch monkey and this kind of thing. So he's talking about, people who, the advocates for, I guess, social justice in the Islamic world, the lesbians, the gays, what does he call them? The marginalized or the marginalized, basically. And sorry, my phone just started in the background. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, we can.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that. So anyway, that's the element that Majid Nawaz is referring to, and you see this like in, for example, this fetishization of the hijab in the U.S. and stuff like that, right?
I have a big problem.
Feminists and
I have a huge problem.
I'll talk about that. Yeah.
Let's pick one of them at random. Let's start with that one. What is it with this idea of putting the hijab as a fashion statement? I mean, we've got three ladies on. We got Christine, we got Teresa, we got Nancy. Is this something you guys would actually fall for? I mean, do you really think the hijab is fashionable in any way, shape, or form? Crickets.
No, I'm really trying to. Yeah.
Thing. I find it kind of irritating, right?
No, my first reaction is no, and then I'm trying to think if there's anything that that maybe I don't understand. Where I could say maybe there's certain circumstances, but I'm not knowledgeable enough. I'll go with my instinct. For me personally,
I haven't seen this in Canada yet, but maybe Christine and Randy can say maybe if they've seen this happening in their neck of the woods. But in the States, there are places where they they actually stop women, and especially in the States, and they'll make them try on a hijab, and it's usually the hijab usually looks also like the American flag. Say, hey, try this. You'll see it's there's no harm to it.
It's disgusting.
It is. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's disturbing. Have you guys heard of these kind of instances happening in Canada at this point?
I think there's a wear hijab day on campuses and stuff like that.
Where hijab day? Where? Where was this?
At the U of C, they've had wear hijab day.
Oh my God!
And that's been going on for quite a while. I mean, it's just a matter of, and I guess the idea is to show solidarity. And I understand where people are coming from, but it's very misguided in the sense that it is a choice in North America. It's a privilege to be able to wear what you want, and it's really insulting to those women who are forced to wear it. And and if they don't, they're very harshly penalized.
Exactly.
Yeah, Linda Sarsour really promotes this. She's a prominent activist in the United States, and she put a tweet out a little while ago that said that the hijab is a sign of self-respect and modesty, and that implies that not wearing the hijab is women are lacking in self-respect and lacking in modesty. This is. My challenge to Linda Sarsour, and I was going to talk about this tomorrow night on our podcast, is if you really were about women's rights and etc., you would actually have take off the hijab day for all those women in the Middle East, the millions of women in the Middle East who do not have that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I don't think she'll take me up on it.
No, probably won't. There's also,
she's a hypocrite. She's an absolute hypocrite.
There's also this cartoon that's been all over social media where you have two women. One of them is completely covered in a burqa, and the other one is wearing a bikini and sunglasses, and they're crossing path, and both of them are thinking the same thing. They're thinking essentially, oh, this poor woman, faced with male, living in a male-dominated world and facing these kind of stereotypes and prejudice and blah, blah, blah. And I hate this cartoon because the girl in the bikini has a choice, right? She's not. There's nothing in society that says, you know what, you're a woman, you have to walk around with bikini and high heels. No, nobody says that. Nobody says that. As much as I would like to encourage that, nobody actually says that, right? No, not you, Scott, not you.
It's the poison of religion. I mean, both of them have a legal right to wear what they want, but only one of them has any real choice. I mean, the woman in the hijab will believe that her religion demands that she wear this as a sign to her God that she is being modest and chaste and whatever, this is what bugs me about the whole wear a hijab in support. What happened to the 60s?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what they say, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there.
Are you kidding me? I mean, that's so haram. I mean, yeah. What the hell is? I don't get it.
No, and it also goes one step further, because now last week they were. I didn't bring it up because I couldn't find the little article, but they found a woman that's been guilty of. I believe she's a doctor too, and she's Muslim and she practices, but now she's practicing female genital mutilation. On young girls.
Well, what a wonderful doctor.
Yeah, 2 doctors have been arrested.
Exactly, and say and when you ask the parents, the first thing they say is, well, if we don't cut off her clit, she won't be accepted into Allah's graces or whatever. This is ridiculous, and this is insanity. This is, I hate to say, but I truly don't think this is a cultural matter at this point.
Yeah, it's
there's 2
mutilation.
things I want to say. One is that feminists who engage in this, wear a hijab thing in solidarity, you're not feminists. Stop calling yourself feminists. You're not being a feminist. And I want to play something here that goes to the FGM because this is going to shock the hell out of you.
Okay.
Right? I was going to play this tomorrow night, but I'll play it right now.
Oh.
Of course, we do practice genital cutting here in the U.S. on boys, then it should not be impossible to understand that there are cultures, there are societies that practice what certain people are now calling gender.
I just don't want it in my culture, in my society. I guess that's kind of what it comes down to.
So it's okay to cut boys in your society?
Look, I'm just saying I don't want this because I think it's awful.
Well, we don't. In our culture, we don't discriminate. We have gender egalitarian surgeries. We do not discriminate.
Gender egalitarian surgery.
Say what? That's outrageous. That's outrageous.
They're referring.
I don't understand what she. That's like
FGMS.
word salad to me. I don't even.
No,
understand
she's saying that because some boys are having circumcision, therefore it's all right to do it on girls.
That's what I'm saying. What is it? Gender egalitarian surgery?
You
That's
have the right to be mutilated like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean that's horrible.
It's newspeak. It's newspeak.
Oh, absolutely is. And this, where did this happen?
That was on the Tucker Carlson show on Fox News a couple of nights ago. And it was a woman, I can't remember her name. She's an anthropologist. Fumbai.
She should totally be a politician because she has this.
Do another edit.
And she opted for FGM herself as an adult.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's unreal. That is unreal. You know,
going back to the hijab, I mean, if a woman wants to wear a hijab, I'll support her 100%. I don't think we have the right to say take it off or you can't work here, or take it off because it's a distraction to everybody else. If someone wants to wear one, I think there should be 100% freedom, to do so.
But that's not saying that we can't say, hey, look, that's not necessarily a good choice. I mean, if your religion is demanding that you wear this, maybe you should think about your religion again.
That's right. Leave it up to her as to whether or not this is something she wants to wear or not wear.
No, but the insidiousness of all this is where people are trying to say this is a cultural thing. The hijab is a cultural thing, and it's not. It's a religious demand.
Same thing.
That's the point, though, is that, women here do have a choice to wear it or not. That's the whole gist of it, right? We allow that freedom. And these women have the privilege of that particular freedom. Mm-hmm. And they assert this as a feminist stance. That's my problem with it. Like a symbol of feminism.
Yeah.
Well,
when it's exactly the opposite.
Crazy.
Just like this last clip we heard, right? I mean, this is obviously a problem, female genital mutilation, and she's switching it around as in making something of a question of equality. It's not a question of equality at all, right? And especially on children, because they really don't have a say, right? I mean, if you're an 18-year-old woman plus and you want to have a little piece of your hoo-ha cut off, hey, all the power to you. But as a child, that really should not be imposed on you.
Yeah, I agree.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, that's one issue with the regressive left. Randy, what's your number 2 be for them?
Freedom of speech.
There,
right
please.
there. That what's happening on campus is just so despicable. Like we've seen a lot of speakers who get deplatformed, who are invited speakers. Recently, we saw Ann Coulter, who I just can't stand, but I support 100%. If some group from a university invites her in, more power to them. People just don't want to hear, not just for themselves, ideas that they don't agree with. They don't want anybody else to hear. I find that just a little bit paternalistic. Very. I'm doing what's best for you. Well, screw that.
Randy, what gives you Randy, what gives you the right to interfere with my perfect little world? How dare you?
Yeah, it really.
And you know what? I blame parenting. I blame the modern version of parenting for this. The whole bubble. My child, keep my child as safe as possible. I mean, how many kids do you see anymore playing road hockey?
No, it's true.
I don't see it in my neighborhood. I live in a.
It's not even legal anymore.
I live in a Sikh neighborhood, and the kids are actually out playing road hockey.
Yeah, actually, it's true. Hindu Canadians are very fond of hockey.
But
I love that.
Preventing people from speaking flies in the face of everything you go to a university for. You're supposed to be able to be exposed to different ideas and different philosophies, and you should respect the fact that person is there, but allow them to say what they're invited to speak without having these violent protests and
when did
because you don't like what they're saying.
When did the right?
I don't like Ann Coulter either, but if she's been invited, let anybody who wants to go. Listen, if you don't want to go, don't go.
The freedom of speech has to do with the freedom to exchange information, ideas.
Right.
When did the right to exchange ideas become a privilege?
I don't think it's a question of that. I think I'm going to play devil's advocate for half a second here because I love doing that anyway. I think what these people are having an issue with is the message is harmful.
But you have the right to rebut.
Yeah, I you know what? I would agree with that, and I would also say, so what? Louis Brandeis, who was a Supreme Court judge in the United States, basically said sunlight is the best disinfectant. Bad ideas, if you push them down, a lot of these people who have been protesting at people like Milo Yiannopoulos and Coulter and what's his name, Murray, they're pushing ideas down beneath the sunlight. So these things just run underground, and these people have no idea how complicit they are in the rise of Donald Trump. Not a clue.
No, I'm good.
Because that's these ideas fester, these ideas spread underground. They are not brought to light and exposed to actual reason, and they grow like mushrooms.
Yep.
I'm gonna.
And now all of a sudden somebody comes along and talks the language of screw this whole PC culture, which I actually agree with, and they sound more reasonable than people who have good ideas. It just boggles my mind.
Now I'm going to keep on playing devil's advocate here. Randy, Christine, don't you think that we're atheists, right? I mean, we bump into bad ideas on a daily basis.
We're the worst of ideas.
We're bumping on the worst of ideas. Now, if
we're the worst people.
No, I'm not saying us, but I'm saying, for example, the idea. Let's take just an idea that atheists eat babies. The kind of nonsense that we've been victims of forever. Now, if there was a way for
you mean I should stop?
Yes. You need to go on a diet, Scott.
Damn, I've got all those cookbooks, man.
I got all that stuff in the freezer. I mean,
the comments of Scott are not necessarily those. I've left the developers for 50 years. No, but I'm saying if there was a way for us to stop the propagation of those ideas that have been proven false, have been debunked, and we're fighting them over and over and over again, should we not take those steps?
You're always going to fight them.
Yeah, but we're not going to start a violent whatever on the church, on the church steps or anything like that.
No, but if
we'll
we
just,
if we had the power,
no, I don't want them to be quiet. I want them to speak their nonsense so that we can challenge it. And I was going to say, one of my worries about this, deplatforming and that kind of thing, I wonder if there are people who would like to attend Ann Coulter's talk so that they can jump to the mic and be first and just totally challenge her, right? I would be terrified to go to a presentation like that, even though I'm on their side with, obviously Ann Coulter's a reprehensible thing, right? So I wouldn't go to a talk. I'd be terrified that I might get the shit beaten out of me.
Well, that's why I consider Antifa to be a terrorist organization. They are using violence to further a political agenda. That's the definition of terrorism. They wouldn't characterize themselves as that, but nobody does. I mean, I don't even think ISIS characterizes themselves as such. So, yeah.
No, I'm just wondering.
The shoe fits.
If you had, for example, let's say Benny Hinn came to Calgary, if there was a way for you guys to stop Benny Hinn from coming to Calgary and brainwashing another God knows how many people to go in there, would you not consider that?
Nope, I'd protest it.
Yeah,
legitimately.
Yeah, and then I think there was when the Westboro Baptist Church was coming here, I was kind of glad we didn't let them in. But now, in hindsight, I think we should have and just protested.
Now, please elaborate on that. When the Westboro Baptist Church it went to Calgary?
They got turned away at the border. I forget where they were going to now. Do you remember, Randy?
They were going to Winnipeg. Remember that young man that was killed on a Greyhound bus, decapitated?
Yes.
Right.
And by a mentally ill person who is now actually, I believe, released now. And they were coming up for that funeral, and they were stopped at the border. And that's legitimate because there's no right for Americans to come up to Canada.
Okay, but if
the government didn't do anything,
especially when they have an agenda. I mean, that's
no. But if there was a Canadian church that would have picketed this horrible incident, and they would have said this guy deserves death,
right. It's their right. You have to acknowledge that it's not free speech for me or free speech for everybody as long as you agree with me. It's free speech.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. No,
I know. I'm just saying that you have to be prepared when there are people are exercising their rights that they're going to be using them in a manner which is aberrant to you.
But we also in Canada the free speech laws are not exactly the same as in the U.S. Actually, there are some parameters to Canadian free speech.
And we're still working those out, right? Hate speech has been through the Supreme Court, and most of those laws have been struck down, thankfully, because I do not believe hate speech is, there are limits even in the United States. Of course, you can't yell fire in a theater, in a packed theater, or you can't incite violence. Well, so there are differences, but we're pretty close.
No, we do have blasphemy laws in the books.
Yes, we do.
Well, on the books, but they haven't been enacted.
That would be an interesting court case, I think.
Actually, the Canadian blasphemy law has been enacted once, and it was for preventing Life of Brian when it came out. And that's the only time it was actually
Are you
used.
serious?
Yes.
Oh, that is so sad.
Yeah. So that too should be eradicated. But you bring a very interesting point there. We're talking about, you said it was justified because of a question of security. Like you said, nobody can yell fire in a crowded theater. Now, can we not apply that same security label when it comes to protest?
No.
No, because legitimate protest is fine. There's no issue with it, right? If groups like Antifa were just, chanting and showing up and expressing their own viewpoint, their own freedom of speech.
Right, they're exercising free speech, which they have a right to do.
Shout somebody else down, which is not free speech. Sorry, was that?
No, I'm sorry I interrupted, but I was just confirming your point. The free speech, they're entitled to protest as long as they have a peaceful protest. If you yell fire, you're inciting people to action on a false basis and
yes.
Potentially causing harm. It could be a life-threatening situation due to the fact that you're just inciting by saying something false.
See, I just
or something like pigs in a blanket farm like bacon. That's inciting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say that's
yeah.
Don't you guys love it when I play devil's advocate?
Kind of sense.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Moving on from that subject. Point number 3, Randy. Give me another one. What do you hate about the regressive left? Or Christine? You guys are the guests.
What about Christine? What's yours? I got mine. My shot here.
Trivial things like microaggressions and manspreading.
Well, that's not necessarily regressive left, though. That's social justice nonsense.
Yeah.
Aggressions, we've
there's kind of some overlap there, but I guess
there is.
Left as the way that Majid Nawaz defines it, and I think we've kind of covered
like mansplaining.
I think our two biggest. What's that?
Explain a microaggression for people.
Well, I think it's kind of like a verbal slight, and I guess I don't know, something like you have to work hard to make it, or something like that can be conceived as a microaggression, and I can understand that, right? But some of them are a little bit, weird. And I think, what's up?
No, I agree.
Some of them that they label, microaggressions aren't microaggressions at all. They're blatant, just, aggression, right? So
I think some of them are all.
Tell them about the story. Chris, tell them about the story about that one person that that was not very good at taking compliments because he thought they were microaggressions.
I don't remember that.
He was saying we were really laying into the whiskey or something. There's a person of color that you knew that didn't like to have someone tell him that he was very well spoken because he thought he would always add on. I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
That was Facebook.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Well, he would always add on to the end of that for a black guy. Of course, that's taking the least charitable interpretation of what was being said. Maybe it was just a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of microaggression really bugs me because it's on that person that's claiming aggression. Is we always like to be the victim. This whole victimhood, passion of the victimhood. There we go. I think that's a great term.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah, no, I should make it.
It's the next Mel Gibson movie, Passion of the Victimhood. No,
Having said that, it's good to be aware that can be conceived in that manner because I didn't realize that, right? And, like I said, I asked my mom, I asked my daughter, and my mom was like, yeah, of course it can be, of course it is, right? So it might be like a generational thing too, not to mention regional.
Yeah, the one that kind of always catches my attention is when you have somebody of African descent and they have that tight curly hair, that's typical, and people say, "Can I touch your hair?" That to me doesn't seem like a racist. What's that?
It's rude. Yeah, really. It's
It happens.
I don't think I've ever done that.
No, you're right. Who does that? But you know what? I would probably be the one to do that because to me it looks fascinating, right?
They do that to my kids all the time.
Yeah, and I don't have that type of hair, so I just want to feel. But you're right. Who the hell is this? Hey, can I touch your hair? Of course, I'd probably.
I don't understand that.
People have come right up to me and touched my hair without even asking, and it's like, okay.
Ooh, that's an invasion of personal space.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's not that bad.
No, I totally agree, but I think it's wrong to start thinking that this person is doing this out of prejudice. They're doing this out of curiosity, right? If this case was to happen, they're not doing it because
interpretation, right?
It's more easy to interpret that as racism than anything else.
But it's not racism. I think it's very innocent.
No, because you're a white guy and you've never been exposed to any of those kinds of behavior. You have to think of where people come from and then give them their due accordingly.
I had to stop a fight one time at work. This was back east. Now think about the way people talk back east. Hey, bye. What you doing, bye? And one young lad from PEI asked one of the black guys on the floor, hey, I won't say his name. Hey, how you doing, bye? Well, you don't say boy to a black person.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going down. I thought this guy was going to take me down. I had to stand between them and try and stop the fight. The kid didn't mean anything by it.
No.
He was just it was his natural way of talking to everyone.
Yeah, and you have to, and there's a case where you really have to take intention as a part of the equation.
The thing. Intention is hard to read.
Yeah, and sometimes when people have a history of being a history of prejudice and racism, it's hard for them to understand that the intention is innocent. Yeah. So you have to come to some kind of an understanding somehow. We have to understand intent and then go from there, which is not always easy to do.
Now, I've got a confession. I've got one of these things that happened to myself, actually. For the longest time, because I'm really bad at retaining names, right? So when I don't know somebody's name, I'll just use like buddy or boss. But for the longest time, I was using chief.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh,
and of course,
I could see where this is going.
Yes, exactly. Right, and it never even crossed my mind. And of course, I happened to use that same thing on a guy that I met here, and he happened to be native, obviously. And I meant absolutely nothing by it, because chief. You got to remember, I'm French, right? Chief sounds like chef, which is chef in French is boss. He's your chef, he's your leader, right? So he's the boss. So that was my intention, right? But I happened to say chief to a guy who was native. So it's like, oh God, no. It took me
what have I done?
Oh.
I'm sorry, whoever you were.
So did you straighten it out?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
I mean,
the fact that you straightened it out is a good thing. Yeah. You didn't let it stand.
Well, he kept on calling me Jacques because I'm French, so you know what I kind of think. Although it was not voluntary. It's like...
Yeah, well, you get to the point where, you can take it with a sense of humor. You can try and straighten it out. There are a lot of ways to respond other than aggressiveness, but we're not always sharp enough at the moment it happens to be able to do that. It's like people who tell an obscene or dirty joke. Should you let it slide because you don't, it's not worth it, or are you allowing that person to get away with that behavior, which is unacceptable? And therefore, should you stand up, and say something? Exactly. And it's, it's a balance, and we're human. We don't always do the right thing.
So I guess we can conclude that communication is far from a perfect art. And before you quickly rush to judgment, really try to read what went on there, because I think the majority of people are not out there to aggress you or be racist. There's always going to be an.
Well, the thing is, we need to stop being so offended at faux pas.
I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Faux pas are just one-offs. They're not a big deal.
Except if you're me, because I do a lot of them.
Don't! if there's a pattern of that same faux pas, there might be a real problem. But it's intent actually matters. I really do think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
I think so.
In context, right? Like comedians can say some pretty outrageous things, and that is a good thing. So.
Yeah, in fact, Stephen Colbert is on the hot seat for saying outrageous things
about Trump. Yes.
Yeah, about Trump.
We could do an entire show just about.
I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh yeah,
it was hilarious.
And who else? Oh, Stephen Fry is also on the hot seat for saying. Yeah, Stephen Fry was on the hot seat as well this week for saying something where people are easily offended.
Well,
which is a show in itself about people who are easily offended.
Like Colbert says, he says, it's Trump versus me. He says, I have Joe, he has the nuclear codes.
That's right.
I think it's even.
Yeah.
Christine, Randy, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, but the mic is all yours. Feel free to plug yourself in as much. Be shameless about it, guys. Go right ahead.
Well, yeah, come listen to us on YouTube tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Mountain, and we're going to be talking about more hijabi stuff and other potpourri topics from the news, mostly religion-related, and we typically have a lot of guests on. Like I guess it was 2 weeks ago, we had Cammie Ryan on, who works for Monsanto.
Ooh.
There we go. And we have a lot of great guests on. We've had Jerry Coyne on in the past. We've had who else? We had recently. We've had some. Well, we had
Lawrence Krauss.
Lawrence Krauss. That's right.
Oh, you had Lawrence Krauss. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting show. We have a lot of fun. We typically do have a couple of brewskis while we're doing the show, so it gets more fun as we go on.
It's mandatory.
Even if it's a little more slurred. Yeah. But anything you want to say, Chris?
No. Thank you so much for having us on, and yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome anytime.
I got to.
Before I let you guys go,
it's getting. Sorry, I just wanted to say I would. We're getting close to that time where I got to start making my baby ganoush.
Yummy.
That's wonderful. Before I let you go, guys, can I get you to say, hi, I'm Christine, and hi, I'm Randy from the Legion of Reason, and we took a left in the valley.
Hi, I'm Christine.
And hi, I am Randy, and we took a left at the valley. Not at the same time. I'm going to take it one at a time. You go first.
Part.
I'll go second. And we do the third part.
That was awesome.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christine.
Leave that in, Beth. Oh, sorry. Go again.
I'm not taking anything of those. This is awesome.
Take two.
Take two.
Hi, I'm Christine.
Do it again.
Take three.
Hi, I'm Christine.
And I'm Randy. And we took a left at the valley.
And that was Dr. Randy Tyson and Christine from the Legion of Reason Diversion.
They're so much fun. They really are.
Oh, these
Even
guys
when
are
you
good.
get into serious subjects, there's still a lot of fun.
No, exactly. They just love. I just love the way they talk. They can have fun, and they can just switch and turn very serious on a dime.
Yeah.
So that was always fun, and we'll have them again for sure because they're friends, and Calgary and Canes have to stick together, right? Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you for everybody in the show, including yourself, Cricket. Happy birthday again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
You can find us at leftandvalley.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at LETV Podcast. You can send us... What? God drowned in my coffee? My Christian friends will hate me? What? Why are you sending me these messages? Now you're trying, just at the end of the show, you could have waited like an extra 30 seconds to disrupt the show like that.
That's okay.
I apologize to everybody listening out there. We usually try to be professional. You can send us some hate mail at leftandvalley@outlook.com. Where am I going with this? Oh, yes.
Yeah, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we actually have the Bible Geek.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yes.
Robert M. Price will be with us.
Ooh.
And we also have, coming up next month, we have our friend Del Rey.
That's right.
Ooh.
Dr. Del Rey, the psychologist that deals with human sexuality, and he was coming to talk to us about things that are going on with his organizations, and we're going to also talk about hypnotism in church.
Ooh.
So that should be fun.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds scary.
Not any scarier than this show. Not today, anyway. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time.
That contradicts history, denies evolution, hates science, promotes mystery. I'd rather see the truth than to bask in my own ignorance. Rather be alone than surrounded by damn idiots. As long as there's a breath in my body, you can bet your last dollar I'll be working hard fighting this problem. Religion is a disease, it comes from culture, only true on a regional scale. Science is universal. For you to say that Horus isn't real, but Jesus is, or Zeus, Thor, Mithra, Vishnu, you don't believe in them. I think the reason is apparent. You do what you're told and believe in the God assigned by your parents. I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist. Atheist. I'm an atheist. Atheist. I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist. Now let me take a sec. Don't mean to sound so hateful, but I swear to God, pun intended, I find it disgraceful that thousands of children are raped by priests, and since they're holy men of God, they get away scot-free. And the Pope does his very best to keep it on the hush. Don't wanna affect business, he loves money too much. We know that they love the kids, but how the fuck can we protect them while they planning to molest them? We teaching them to respect them.
Fuck that.
The system is broke down, working backwards, and the only action or tactic I plan to practice now is to attack them. The parties of God's hands are bloodstained, millions of murders by believers, and they're all in God's name. And let me take a sec, don't mean to sound so hateful, but I swear to God, pun intended, I find it disgraceful that many atheists are told to be quiet. You're not alone, speak your mind, time to let it be known. I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be